You're at Edge Match. Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match. You're at Edge Match. Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match. Don't miss Edge.
Hey, what is up, everybody? How are you doing? Oh my gosh, this is the very first EduMatch community forum, and we were just saying right at the beginning, somebody made the comment that it's super cool that we get to do it with this crew because we have some EduMatch originals in the house. So we're going to be talking about our topic today, which is new developments in AI. Oh, and we have another family member that we're adding to the mix as well. So this is awesome. And like somebody said on Facebook, awesomeness. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So feel free to like, subscribe, join our community wherever you're watching this. Just follow along with us and check us out at edumatch.org. So once again, tonight we're talking about new developments in AI. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started with some intros and then just share what's been new with you ever since we reconnected on a tweet and talk. All right, so we'll just like kind of go from my left to right, and we'll start things off with Katie.
Hi, all. I'm a high school teacher librarian in Central California, and I'm program director for the teacher librarian credential at Fresno Pacific University. And I just want to say how awesome things like this are. I had to take a step back from a few events because of some personal stuff, which I still am like sad about because it's like, but I'm still able to be there for my family, still take care of myself, and still help share the good things. So, Sarah, thank you so much that just something like this does exist for everyone.
Oh, well, thank you so much for everything that you brought to our community. All of you, all of you have been just instrumental in building EduMatch and just bringing pieces of yourself to the community. So thank you so much. So much appreciated. Thanks so much for sharing, Katie, and great to see you again. All right, we'll go next to Jen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Casa-Todd. I, too, am a high school teacher librarian, but I'm from Ontario, Canada. I think we have a couple of Canadians in the EduMatch family, not many of us, so I bring in the international in your global community, lots of global community members. I am also an author, a keynote speaker, and the co-founder of something called the Global Student Chat, which is a way to amplify student voices in a very similar way to this. It's about students. So that's a little about me, and I'm so grateful to be here as well.
All right, that's fantastic. It's great to see you, friends. So thank you so much for jumping in. All right, next up we have Rochelle. Rochelle, how you doing? Tell us what's new with you as well.
Hey, everybody. So I was like, please, Sarah, don't call me first since I just literally walked back in here. But I do have to give a shout out from Dr. Desiree Alexander, who may or may not join us in this. I was just with her. So I am thrilled to join in. I am a Spanish and STEAM teacher from Pittsburgh. I am on location in San Antonio, just arrived today for TCEA. And AI is a topic that I've been researching and learning more about over the past 5 years. I've done some different presentations on it, love teaching my students about it, and just always excited to learn more about the possibilities, the challenges, the concerns with it. So thank you for having this. It has been a while, and I'm so excited that we have these Tweet and Talks back. So that's enough about me.
Well, that is awesome, Michelle. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet us at TCEA, and also shout out to Dr. Desiree. Hopefully we do get to see her. I know that there are several of our community members who are also said that they would be here, so maybe we might see some more people coming in tonight. So if so, we'll have them introduce themselves. But last and certainly not least, let's hear from Rachel.
Hello, everyone. I am Rachel Pearson coming at you from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where it's minus 12 Fahrenheit right now. So I'm not sure what the translation is to Celsius, but I'm sure it's cold. I'm a middle school computer technology teacher, or ICT, for those of you in the international non-US places. And can I say I'm stoked? Do people still say that? I'm stoked to be here.
Did, so.
Yeah, right. I just used it. I'll start calling things rad too. I'm really excited to be here because I love technology and education, all the things that it affords teachers to make their work more engaging, efficient, exciting. And I think AI is now that people have access to more AI tools, I think it's going to start changing even more rapidly. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you, Sarah, for hosting.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you, and it's great to see all of you. We see that Ron is watching, so huge shout out to Ron. And also Kim, hello, hello. Huge shout out to you as well. So great to see all of our EduMatch fam in the house representing. Quick update with me. So probably the last tweet and talk we did was probably around like early 2020 or so, like right before everything got shut down. Since then, life has accelerated and totally changed for me. I got married. I now have a little girl who is in the next room. So if you happen to hear a baby crying, then just know that that's our little one, and my husband's taking good care of her right now. Oh, Melissa is in the house. Hey, Melissa. Melissa from Mississippi. Thank you for being here. And hello, hello, Ron. And hello to your beautiful family as well. All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and kick things off. Oh, we might have just lost somebody real quick. I think Rochelle might have popped. No, Rochelle's here. Wait, who did we lose? We lost Rachel. But hopefully Rachel will be back. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But we're going to go ahead and kick things off. All right, she's getting reconnected right now. So here she is. So we're going to add her right back in the mix. So, oh, and before we officially get started, we'll just talk about the little change to the format. So we used to do tweet and talk every Sunday night at this time. So this is the EduMatch Community Forum, the very first EduMatch Community Forum. So very similar feel. We have switched to the StreamYard platform. So it's no longer a tweet and talk, but it's like you can still comment, you can still interact. We have this everywhere. Hello to the person tuning in. Hello. Yeah, so we have this going in our Facebook community. We have it going on Twitter. We have it going on YouTube. We have it on our website, edumatch.org. So definitely check us out. It's not going to be every week, but we're going to do this every so often. So enough talking from me. Let's go ahead and jump into our topic, new developments in AI. So whoever wants to start, what have been your experiences with new AI tools in education?
So I can start. As a teacher librarian and someone who's been working also in special education and keynoting and doing presentations, most of my experience with AI has been in terms of accessibility. So something like Rewordify, showing kids how to use that particular tool to reword complex sentences or complex paragraphs. Quillbot, also something where students could put their ideas down and it could help them increase their vocabulary. I know I've been following the work of Rochelle for many years and reading what she's done. But it wasn't really until December and Chat GPT came to my school that really became sort of a more central issue. So I guess the point is AI has been around for a long time, and it's mostly been around accessibility and helping students, and to me, equalizing technology. Chat GPT feels a little bit different. I know lots of teachers at my school are feeling like that particular tool is a disruptor. They're afraid of it. They're afraid of the fact that they can take one prompt or question from their test or exam, and that a student will be able to within seconds generate a response. And our students, so the reason I discovered it is I guess it went viral on TikTok in mid-December, and students said, "Miss, I'm never writing an essay again." And so we had this ongoing conversation about how it would impact their writing. And from that point, I created a blog post very quickly. And from that point, just started to curate a whole bunch of resources and ideas. Is the essay dead? What is the impact on education? So I've been playing with it as a teacher, create an AI lesson for me. And as well working with students to say, okay, let's create a response. How effective is this response? So I'm kind of new to the AI, but not really. And that's sort of Chat GPT is definitely a conversation we need to have.
Totally. So I love hearing that experience. And I loved hearing about that very first tool that you mentioned. What was it called again? Which one is
So
the
Rewordify is one of them.
Rewordify?
Dictation.io is another one. And then Quillbot is one that students use right now. And those are all AI tools. Any predictive technology utilizes AI in order to support students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Jen. All right, we're going to go next to Rochelle.
Always the backup. Thank you, Jen, for the shout out about like the work and things that I've done, because I have been doing some different presentations for years about AI. And I probably would have never gotten into it had it not been for blogging for Getting Smart, because I was writing about things I was doing in my classroom. It was like, oh, I did this. It was easy. But then they had themes. And so I focus on AI, and my whole perception, even when I do presentations, like, what do you think about when I say AI? And it's like Alexa, Siri, Terminator, iRobot, all of these things. And when the news about ChatGPT started to kind of break and everybody was talking about it, I went back, and actually back in 2020, I helped to write with Tom Vander Ark, who's the CEO and does a lot of writing for Getting Smart, about GPT-3. And I remember finding things out. I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, how do people create this technology that does all of this? And that was, 2.5 years ago. So then I had been working on a blog, and I sent a message to Tom, and he always calls me like the RDP, which is simple. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about this article. Well, he connected me with Nate McClendon, and he and I wrote this blog that came out in December. And if anybody has read it, or if you haven't read it yet, then go and read it, because we do look at the, what are the benefits of it? What are the challenges? What are the concerns? What are some like call to action? But there is one part of it that was written by using the Chat GPT. And that's just like, you can lose so much time, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but just testing it out. And I think that for teachers, and I'm trying to make this concise, I think for teachers who are concerned with it, because a lot of places are banning it, they're blocking it. New York City came out and blocked it. We've always had a challenge when it comes to technology with like, oh, well, we have Google, kids can access information, or PhotoMath, and I could go on and on. But it's like, okay, we have those, but the kids are still going to need to know how to sort through the information, how to process it, how to use it properly and cite it. And the thing is, being able to find answers like, create 3 tweets for me about project-based learning. That's awesome. But the more that you test it out, you find out, like, test your prompts and see like, I'm having students write about this. They could all copy and plagiarize off of Google. They can all generate the same response. And even if they're using this Chat GPT, it's good, but it's still going to generate similar responses, maybe not necessarily the same order. And for a teacher who's reading through that, they're going to see some patterns in that and recognize like, what, this sounds very familiar, but it is exciting. And I think there are a lot of benefits to it, but as with all things, there are always going to be those challenges, those concerns, and things we need to keep in mind. So with that, I'm going to do a la Melody McAllister, the listening lips pause.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so a lot of gems being dropped here on panel as well as in the comments. We also had Bonnie join us. So before we continue the conversation, Bonnie, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Just making sure my mic works. Yeah, I am Bonnie Nieves. I wrote an Edge Match book, Be Awesome on Purpose, and I know I just started up a consulting company, Educate on Purpose, and I love Chat GPT. Just love it. I could talk about it forever. I'm actually co-authoring an ebook that's going to be coming out next month, and yeah, so love it. Absolutely love it.
That is dope. So we love having you here. Thank you for joining us, Bonnie. So there was a couple comments that came up in the chat. Actually a few more that are coming up right now. Let me see. So Kim mentioned if you use a plagiarism tool, it would show that the essay was copied or plagiarized if Chat GPT was used. Someone else, I'm sorry, Facebook user, I don't see your name, but they said we cannot avoid or evade using Chat GPT. We're going to get to that in a second. As educators, we need to see how we create learning experiences. One teacher allows students to edit the essays created by Chat GPT and add personal experiences. Another Facebook user says turn it in does not detect the AI response. And then Kim has also said, I think a good example would be for students to write a paragraph or two and then use ChatGPT to write about the same topic and compare the two and see good writing examples and how they could write or revise their writing for future assignments. And then Mano, hey, great to see you. So thanks so much for joining us. So I know that in response to Kim's first comment, which I'll put back on, Jen had a comment that she put in private chat. So Jen, if you wanted to share about that.
Sure. I think that was the biggest aha moment when I was sitting with students and they were testing this out in early December. We put it in turnitin.com and it did not detect. Since then, I've tried to have the courageous conversation at my school, and this is what has freaked out teachers, right? Because normally if kids are copying something from Google, we put it in turnitin.com, it will detect plagiarism. So since that time, there have been lots of AI detectors. And unfortunately, the questions I'm getting are, this looks like it's AI. Does this tell me that it's 97% AI generated, and can I give a kid a 0? And so, like, I think as teachers, we have so many things to do anyway, that to put every response through an AI detector is not an effective use of our time. And like one of the users said, it would be way more effective to actually get them to use it, because we can't block or ban it. It exists in the real world. And if you look at, there are hundreds of YouTube channels now dedicated to how to use ChatGPT for your business. And so we can't just pretend it doesn't exist, like we pretend social media doesn't exist in the lives of kids, right? We need to be able to embrace this tool, use it productively and positively. And I think that's true for every tech tool. Sorry, that was my soapbox. I'm going to stop.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And also thank you to Facebook user who dropped this great link about how Turnitin reassures educators with promise of AI detection software. Cool, cool, cool. So we're going to now kick it over to Rachel for, for your comment on the question. What have been your experiences with new AI tools in education?
So I knew that ChatGPT was going to take up a lot of our conversation, so I'm going to steer away from that for a second and talk a little bit. So anytime a student uses Grammarly, or if they're typing an email in Gmail and that predictive text pops up, that's artificial intelligence trying to figure out what you're about to say. One of the neat things that we did, oh, sorry, there's a cat caught on my sweater sleeve. Okay, fun.
Okay, you might be having some technical glitches really quickly, but hopefully we'll get you back on to finish that thought, because there you go. All right, I'm sorry. We lost you for a quick second, but go ahead. All right, and I'm sorry, we lost audio on you really quickly. But while you're reconnecting, Kim posted a comment. If you know your students' writing, you should be able to tell ChatGPT was used if there's a big difference in their writing now compared to past written responses. And Amanda's saying, need to shift the paradigm and skills we are teaching prompting and having students check accuracy. Like the calculator invoked fear with math educators, ChatGPT is doing that now. Calculators didn't go away, neither is AI. Fantastic. All right, Rachel, so right back to you.
All right, I think I'm back up now. I apologize for that interruption.
Yeah, no, you're good.
In my 8th grade class, we just finished a week-long thing on graphic design. And for our last day of that, I said, we're going to use some AI art generators to see what's going on. So we had them look at thispersondoesnotexist.com to automatically generate some random faces of people that don't actually exist. And then we went into Canva and we're using the text to image tool inside of Canva to prompt the AI to create us an image on something. And I had a lot of students who were typing in names of famous people, like their favorite artist, musical artist, holding a puppy or eating a pizza with a cat or something like that. And they were just amazed that this AI text generator could spit out an image of whatever they were describing. Were they always amazing and great? No, but it's amazing to see the beginnings of what could be possible. And I think that is the important thing that people are really excited about, is because it's become so accessible, that it's becoming very exciting. And I also want to drop another tool for educators specifically. It's called Education Copilot. It's an AI website that is specifically focused for educators. So their workshop, I'm just looking at it right now, has a quiz builder, a lesson planner, educational handout, PowerPoint generator. It'll generate 15 slides for you. A context builder for whatever your lesson is on. Writing an email to a parent, it has a generator for that. So there's a lot of things there that are specifically good for teachers. And so as comparison for that, I think the language of the responses that you get is not as sophisticated as Chat GPT, but I still think it gives you a super place to get started on whatever lesson you're creating or an email you have to send to a parent. Oh, what was the link? thispersondoesnotexist.com.
All right, thispersondoesnotexist.com. Great. Thank you so much for those resources. And Kim is also asking, was it educationcopilot.com?
Correct. Yep.
All right. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for those resources. And in the house, we have Doc. Hello, Dr. Desiree. Thanks so much for joining us. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everyone. I am Dr. Desiree Alexander. I am the founder, CEO of Educator Alexander Consulting, and I also work for a nonprofit, the deputy director for a nonprofit, and I'm happy to be here.
Yes, we are thrilled to have you. So thank you so much for joining us. All right. So we're going to go next to Bonnie for your experiences with new AI tools in education.
Yeah, my experience is specifically with Chat GPT. I mean, except for like the passive use of other AI tools that everyone uses. But for Chat GPT, I started having kids use it like intentionally before they even discovered it on their own. I was using it to help them to decrease the cognitive load that it takes to start an essay or to set up an outline for a research paper. And for questions that, well, an example would be a student saying they want to do their research paper on Botox, but they're not sure how to set it up. So not having them log into Chat GPT on their own accounts, I used mine and just asked, how would you set up a research paper for Botox and what would the outline look like? And it provided the outline. I copied it, pasted it into a Google Doc and shared it with her. And she wrote her research based off of that. Then she took that draft and I put that into Chat GPT and asked, how well does this paper explain Botox? And it provided feedback in like under a minute. And then asked, what is some actionable feedback to improve this paper? And I copied that and gave that back to her. And she wrote a beautiful research paper on her own with citations, just with that little bit of help from Chat GPT. And for the teachers or for the people who are concerned about plagiarism and things like that, and plagiarism is going to happen now, I think, just because it seems like the easiest thing to do with it. But once we help kids understand how powerful it actually is, they hopefully will realize that using it just to write essays is a waste of its capabilities. And it's going to hopefully help teachers to start to return to the value of process over product, right? If a kid's turning in an essay written with Chat GPT and that's the first time you've seen it, then that's a larger problem than a student simply plagiarizing something. So there's that. And I don't know if we want to get into it now or save it for after a little bit of discussion, but the uses for teachers is unbelievable. Oh my gosh. It can get
Yes.
so smart. It's it creates tables and all. It's amazing. Just amazing. But I'll yield my
Absolutely.
time.
Okay. No, we're definitely going to get into that a little later on. So fantastic. Thank you so much, Bonnie. And Kim is saying plagiarism isn't a new issue, but it may increase as well as the consequences increase to students. Hopefully, teachers use an incident as a teachable moment. Great. And then there is a Facebook user who says that Chat GPT and stuff like that can promote cheating for them, or they feel that it promotes cheating. And they say thank you for sharing process over product. Okay, I don't know if it's the same person who said all three things, but we definitely appreciate all of the comments. Oh, and someone's saying people that write blogs are losing money because of AI fact checking. All right. Well, these are very interesting discussion that's going on. So we appreciate all the comments. Fantastic. All right, so we're gonna go next to Katie.
Yes, thank you for bringing up that rewordify and those paraphrasers and this person does not exist. Those are also AI as well. Because I was thinking, oh my gosh, should I really just start using AI? No, I've been using all of those. And why do I use them? To make my life easier. When the hamster's just not going as fast as you want it to for whatever reason. Sometimes it's just life. Sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, there's too many projects at once. So coming back here now, I've been using ChatGPT wildly just because of how much my time it can save. So that's my big experience coming back. Just in the last couple of months, I've used it to help me not write fully because I've never seen it do something that I'm 100% happy with. So there's a caveat all the way around. But to jumpstart writing letters of recommendations for my students, getting book reviews done for me, getting rationales for paperwork I have to submit to the district done. And I'm using it right now. I was having a fabulous conversation with this morning, getting a crime scene set up, giving me names of my suspects that are all like funny the way I want to. And I'll spend time thinking of that because I like being cheesy punny, but it just gave me all the names I want. Like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't get to the unmute button fast enough, but yes, indeed. So thank you so much for sharing that, Katie. Much appreciated. Rochelle had something that she wanted to come back in and talk about regarding the blog.
Yeah, indirectly. I teach, well, I do presentations at conferences, I write about it. And I had at FETC last week some sessions, and just, I'm not an expert, and I don't know that anybody can really say that you're truly an expert in anything. Or you might think like, I'm just like you're saying that word I'm just a secondary teacher, a Spanish teacher. But these are things that we need to bring in. I know, like Rachel doing this, we need to bring these things in our classroom. And when I brought it into my 8th grade STEAM emerging technology course, the first thing they're like, oh, I have this report to do and it's about this, and I'm going to just use this thing. And it's like, well, that's great. You can use that. But in the end of the day, your teacher's going to know like the way that you write and the style, like they've gotten to know you. But I think a big part of the scare has been like, oh my gosh, what does this mean for education? But we have to look beyond that too, because we're preparing our students for whatever they decide. Like, I decide I want to be a journalist. I want to be a screenwriter. I want to do whatever it is that's like creative writing in this case, for example. And this could very well deplete those types of jobs because like, I got to write a book. So I'm going to use ChatGPT and it's done. And it does make things easier, especially like I said before with like Twitter, but just showing the students, as with all things with technology, like, okay, like when could you use this? You're stuck, you're struggling for an idea. So spark an idea. I mean, even fun things. Like when I spent the first like 3 hours on a Saturday night, I was like 10 ideas for a party for an 8-year-old. What if the kids have allergies? What if they don't like to be outside? Like I kept doing the what ifs. And the other piece of it too, is like when they regenerate the response, it does, toggle them a little bit. So you might get the same, like I said, exact answers, but it pushes us to rethink, a lot of the things that we're using in education. And then, okay, maybe, and I had this question last week too. It was from an English teacher that said, I give students a prompt to write an essay. What if they all pop it into the Chat GPT? I go, well, they might. But then how can you leverage that? Okay, let's look, why don't you write your essay? Let's see what it generates. Let's compare it. Let's analyze it. Like, does it sound like human speech? Like, what are the ways that you can really go through and analyze it, and how can you improve upon it? With all things, there's the good and the bad, but you can't get away from it because it's here. And coming up in the summer, it's going to be GPT-4. It's going to have even more capabilities. So it continues to push us to think about what are we doing in our classrooms to prepare our students with knowing what technology is available, with what the skills are that they need. And clearly a skill that they need is to be flexible, adaptive, and whatever, like, oh, you want that job? Well, sorry, it's not available anymore because you got Chat GPT 3 or Chat GPT that's like generating it. So think of something different. And so you're building skills in the process, and maybe it's becoming an entrepreneur and figuring out a way to leverage that content writing that you think that you're not good at being creative, and using that in your business and having that be like a time saver. Like some of us mentioned, like it's great for lesson plans. It's great for Twitter chats and so many things. So, there's good and the bad, and my students have embraced it and really like seeing what the benefits are. And for teachers, the last thing I'll say is, even with some of the tools that we're using in our classroom, when we're looking at, not specific to ChatGPT, but looking at AI in general for personalized learning. I mean, being able to figure out where every kid is in the learning process every single day can take time. I give you a paper, I take time at home. But when you use some tools that now they're using AI, and it can give each kid their own personalized learning path in real time, that saves us the time to go and have those human interactions with those students, makes a big difference. And I think just having them, thank you, Melissa. I think just having all of those conversations, the biggest point that I try to stress is being open to discussion. You may not necessarily agree with somebody about the benefits, but just listening to the different perspectives, that is so beneficial on so many levels. And with that, I'm done.
Great. Fantastic points that you are making, as well as in the chat, some fantastic points that are being made. Hello to Fonz. Hello, and also hello to Maggie and anybody else I may have missed, because the comments are coming pretty fast. So thank you all so much for tuning in. All right. So Doc, how about you? What have been your experiences with new AI tools in education?
Well, I'm not in the classroom anymore, so I deal with teachers mainly and educators. So, my big thing is showing educators, how it can be used and how it can help and how it can increase productivity. So we were looking at that. I was working with a group of daycare center directors recently, and we literally built their employee handbook using Chat GPT. So, we said we wanted the handbook, it gave us the outline, and then we said, write the sick policy, write this policy, write that, and it did the whole handbook. And, it's one of those things where, we did a lesson plan for fractions for 5th grade, looking at different types of, so it can definitely help with productivity. I understand the argument about it makes it easier for our kiddos to cheat, but one of the things I think we do in our society in general, not to get too deep with it, is we love Band-Aids. We're always a Band-Aid society. So I'm like, okay, well, if they're, first of all, they were cheating before. Let's stop pretending. And, they're like, oh, well, if they bring it home and they, how do I know that they're writing it? Well, how did you know that they were writing it before? So it's one of those things. It's like, let's put it in perspective. First of all, cheating isn't new. But yes, of course, it's going to make it easier. But like Rochelle said, it's here to stay. So instead of looking at, oh my goodness, they're going to cheat. Well, why don't we start teaching them ethics? But we don't want to go deeper, right? We don't want to go that deep into it. We just want to put a Band-Aid on it and say, well, let's get rid of this tech tool because it's going to, harm all of society. Well, maybe we need to start teaching them ethics, and we need to start talking about what is cheating, what is not cheating, what is giving credit for something that you did not create. Why don't we go that path? Why don't we go deeper with it? And it's because it's not, I don't want to say easy, because nothing about education is easy, but it's not, we oftentimes don't want to look at the deeper issue and just want to kind of put a Band-Aid on it and say, bad Chat GPT, and get rid of that. So, so those are my kind of experiences right now, just talking to teachers. One teacher said, oh, well, you know what? If they write it, you can actually go to Chat GPT and say, did you write this? How much of this is AI? And I was like, let me try that. That'll be another 5-minute tip. And I tried it and it worked beautifully the first time. So I had it write a 2-paragraph essay on Hamlet, how Hamlet was a role model. It wrote it. I copied it back in a new one and said, did you write this? I was like, yes, I did. And I said, how much did you write? I wrote the whole thing. I was like, yes. But then I did it again. And it said, no, I didn't write this. You wrote this. Like it literally put that. I was like, I did not write that. So, you know, nothing is perfect. So I didn't even do the video. I was like, it's not doing it. But yeah, so I mean, it's here to stay. We're gonna have, you know, I always say like it's like rock and roll back in the day. Like, get rid of this rock and roll. It's here to stay. So how do we use it and how do we use it for our benefit?
Totally, totally. And people in the chat are just on fire with their comments. They're talking about like back when they were students, what they used to do, Encyclopedia Britannica, Cliff Notes. So this, you know, time, like the time is changing, but I mean, it's like the more things change, the more they stay the same. Katie, I see you have a comment on Cliff Notes, so go ahead, jump in.
Yeah, so I'm totally fine with Cliff Notes, really. And I had this adorable child, 9th grade, so it's really hard for freshmen to look cute, but totally was. Comes up to me and was struggling with something, remembering parts of the book to do the assignment I had for them. I'm like, well, go ahead, look at the Cliff Notes, whatnot. You can just like Google that and it'll jog your brain. And the kid was like so mortified, like, oh my goodness, isn't that cheating? And I hit pause, like, bless you, you're so adorable. But then I was like, can you do what I'm asking you to do? If from just looking at the Cliff Notes? And the answer is no. So I think that's the bigger conversation here is like, we need to know that these tools exist, that they're out there. But if someone can do my assignment from a Cliff Notes, that's my problem, not the kid's problem. Yay, them if they have figured out how to play the game of school and pass on and go get some more basketball time.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that. Cool, 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 cool. Yes, yes. Everything that y'all are saying is definitely resonating with me. So and Melissa as well says amen. So absolutely. All right. Rochelle dropped a great link in the comments. So definitely check that out. So getting smart education is about to radically change AI for the masses. So that's what's up. All right. So I feel like we covered a lot of ground with this first question. We have let me see, these two questions of benefits, drawbacks. I feel like we covered that. I feel like we covered that some may say that this may pose a challenge for educators. The students will be able to get the AI to do their work for them. What do you say to that? Now, is there anything that we didn't cover that, you know,
Comment
people were kind
there.
of holding? Huh?
I have a comment with that last one. Let's pretend your
All
job
right,
is
go
in
for it.
payroll. Okay. You're in payroll. We get what that is. Okay. But your boss tells you you can't use a calculator. That kind of has the same sensicality of saying, no, don't use AI. If something exists, it helps us to be more effective, more efficient, and more productive with our time, then yeah, you ought to use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Facebook user said, if we can focus on the process, we won't need to worry about those who have the answer, but more than that, those that can problem solve to get to the answer they have at hand. Absolutely. All right. Fantastic. So any other thoughts on those questions about let's see, about either the benefits and drawbacks or students getting the AI to do their chat for them? Okay, Jen, I see that you dropped in chat. What would you like to comment?
I guess I'm thinking just about the challenge and how many teachers are so fearful of this technology as being so disruptive. And I think at the very minimal, we already talked, I think Dr. Desiree talked about ethics, right? The very minimum, we need to take a look at our academic dishonesty policies. We have to include something about AI in them so that we can have conversations with kids about, at the end of the day, your work is your work. It comes from your brain. You can use other sources, but you know, how do you use them? I think that's the sort of very minimum. The second is Bonnie talked about it, someone else, the process over product is super, super huge and important. And we know that. More personalization, that this idea that I can now look at my question and go, if Chat GPT can do it, then I don't need to ask it that way. I need to ask it a little bit differently. And maybe that involves making it a little bit more personalized. But I think we know the power of metacognition too. And one of the things that I started to ask my students when they were using Quillbot, for example, is I said to one student last week, is this tool making you a better writer? And she said, huh. And I said, talk to me about that, right? So what we need to do is, if kids are using these tools, we need to ask them to reflect upon the extent to which these tools are supporting their learning, distracting from their learning, or taking away from their learning. And that's where the power is, right? When the kids think about their thinking, then it yields really, really powerful results. So I would say that all of those different levels need to happen in schools as a result of the fact that this exists, this technology exists.
Absolutely. And Kim was asking, was the tool Blankbot? Was that Quillbot, did you say?
Quillbot, yeah, Quillbot. Our kids are using it to make their writing sound better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Fonz is saying we have to accept that this fear is completely acceptable. The unknown is kind of scary. This is truly a human transformational technology that's impacting every industry. This is absolutely affecting positively, negatively every industry around the world. So that is a great point. Thank you so much for sharing that, Fonz. All right, Bonnie, what is your you wanted to chime in on this question as well?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think if we use it effectively, Chat GPT can benefit students in the same way that teaching coding can benefit students, right? They have to really think about being a prompt engineer at this point. And I saw a comment from Fonz in the chat earlier that now people are looking for people to be prompt engineers. And you have to really thoughtfully consider what input you need in order to get your desired output. So I think that is really going to help students think things through and become critical thinkers, actually. So once we get over this initial hump of everyone thinking about using it to do work for them, they'll start considering how it's going to help them to do work more effectively. But for right now, it's just fun, right? I mean, I had my friend, not my friend, that was a Freudian slip. One of my students said that she was really unhappy with the ending to the new Avatar movie. So we went to Chat GPT and asked it to write an alternate ending, and it was actually much better. So, and then we had it turn that alternate ending into an epic poem, which was fantastic as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a few great comments came through in the chat. One person created a link that they came up with a pledge with their students to use Chat GPT ethically. So that is beautiful. Definitely check that out. Also, Chat GPT can help kids create more effective questions too. Okay. Amanda is agreeing with Jackie. And Don, hey, what's up? Thanks so much for tuning in. Okay. And Kim is saying, send that alternate ending to Disney and earn some money. Love that. Love that. All right. So I'm about to throw it over right now to Desiree. What do you say to this?
I think it's one of those things that we have to meet people where they are, especially those of us who are not in the classroom right now. I think we have to meet, like we can't just, well, let me preface it by saying, I'm hearing the conversations around AI and education, and we have kind of two camps, the no camp and the, well, y'all just need to think openly camp, right? Y'all just need to use this ethically, like Desiree just said, and y'all just need to, do this. But I think it's one of those things where we are going through a monumental change, right? And anytime you have something like that comes in and changes society, that comes in and changes jobs as we know it, right? Comes in and changes how the education system needs to work, right? That is scary. That is frightening for a lot of people. So I think we need to meet people where they are, number one, with this. And, instead of kind of, because I'm seeing this kind of like almost war of pointing fingers of, like you're just old fashioned and you're just, woke and whatever, that we just need to kind of like chill out with that, because it's not going to help our students at all. It's just going to help us feel better on our side of the aisle, right? But we need to look at it as a change in society, and how will education keep up, or will it fail? And I think that's what we are. I think that's where we were after COVID. I think that's where we were when, all this stuff. So we're still in the whirlwind of change, and we need to see, okay, well, where are we? Yes, it's scary. Yes, this is going to be one of the biggest changes in education that we see in our lifetime, that we think of right now, right? Now it's not the biggest change in education, but that we will probably see is, AI coming in. And I remember reading a story back in the day, a short story about teachers being replaced by AI. And the students had a big conversation. I think the fun they had is the short story, the fun they had. And the student had a robot teacher, and we discussed that as students. And that's way before AI and all this stuff. But it's always a scary thing to think that we need to change and that we need to update it, that something could replace us. But that's where we are. So I think, again, kind of chill out with the, you should think this way and you should think that way, and kind of, come together and see, okay, well, what's happening? just even analyzing, like, what is going on right now? Kind of like Porter guys, like, what is happening? Like, just scream it out into the ether, and let's start discussing what is going on and how can we use it. But I also think that sometimes we're speaking to educators and the people that make the laws and the people that keep education in the status quo don't know anything and don't know what's going on and don't see this big shift. So we also need them at the table, because education in general is going to have to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got to change to keep up with the changing times. I definitely hear you on that. So some great comments coming through in the chat. Just kind of putting them up as they come through. So thank you all so much for your comments. Yeah, this is totally adding to the discussion. All right, fantastic. Just in the interest of time, we're going to keep it moving. We might need to we might need to skip one question at the end, just so that we could end around 7 Eastern. But fantastic comments from everyone in the chat and from everyone on panel as well. Okay, so the next question, how have you used this in your professional life? Now, I'm about to try something really quickly, just to kind of show a demo for people who have not yet seen this. So let me see what I can do really quickly. Share my screen. All right. So once you get in Chat GPT, it just has you like log in, right? With your information, your Google or what have you, right? So we were talking in the EduMatch Facebook group, and I was talking about I wanted an app to pretty much shuffle things within different categories, like put them on random, and then to give me the code for that, like randomize things within the categories. Now this is probably going to totally backfire since I'm doing it live, and if so, I'll just go ahead and edit this part out. But I said to Jennifer Bond that I'll try to make a video with this. So you can ask Chat GPT to do something like create a program where you randomize the to-do list within various categories. Now, I'm not a coder. I know a little bit, just enough to be dangerous, but oh, okay. Well, of course it's doing it's probably because I need to log back in. But I typed in a script very similar to this, create a program where you randomize the to-do list within various categories. And what it did is that it spat back a script for me in Python. And I was able to take that code and to just put it into a Python like replicator, I believe it's called. All right, let's try this one more time. And if it doesn't work this time, we'll keep going. But create a program that randomizes a to-do list within categories. Okay. So what it did when I typed in a prompt like this is that it's it thought for a second, and then it gave me back some stuff in Python. Okay, so here's an example of a Python program. And here we go. This is the code right here, and it just types out the whole thing. And then I just like copied and pasted this, and it didn't work at first, and I told it it didn't work, and it went back and it troubleshot, and it came back with the script that worked perfectly. So it's really crazy, like how it can do this. So just wanted to show that quick example of that. Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing. So with that being said, my question to you all is, how have you used this in your professional or personal life? Whoever wants to jump on this first.
Well, I've gone all over the place with it, from asking it for the best sides for my Christmas dinner. And that was an interesting process because it's made me think of similarly, like, what do you think about to decide if you're going to use a browser to do your research versus Pinterest? And now I'm like, okay, sometimes now I'm using ChatGPT basically to do my searching to get it all quickly, and they will consolidate it for me and do that extra layer of work that, yes, I could have gone and found all those pieces, but they did it in just seconds for me. And earlier I mentioned doing some reviews with it. And some of the books I was working on were current because we're all about current literature, right, Jennifer? So it didn't have the information. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know that book because it's not prior to 2021. It's like, okay, I fed it my information. So kind of like a pet, you can teach it what you want and just give it the good stuff, and gave it the information I wanted, and then it would generate for me. Now, I still could have generated that myself, but as it would give me a review, like, oh, I don't quite like that. Can you add this? Like, oh, what about this part too? And it keeps changing it. And then I could go back and tell it, okay, I like that third one and that fourth one. Will you put those together and make it smaller? And yes, it can do all of that for me. Well, I still could have done it, but it would have taken me quite a few more hours.
Absolutely. Definitely a time saver and a productivity increaser. Great. Anyone else have an example of how they've used this in their own personal or professional life?
I can take a stab at
Yeah,
this.
go for it.
So like I mentioned earlier, I was using Education Copilot, and my co-teacher and I decided to change a lesson on the fly, like the day before we were going to do it. So we threw into the PowerPoint generator our lesson topic, and then our learning objectives for that lesson. And it gave us a 15 slide deck of going through all the different things that we had mentioned and why it would have been important to the lesson. Now, it's not going to look fancy or anything. It's basically text on a blue background. But you could take that information then and bring it into PowerPoint or Google Slides or whatever, and give it your zhuzh a little bit and make it look better. But all of the text that was there made sense to the topic that we were covering, and we were able to use it. I've used it a lot for creating social media posts when I don't remember or don't have a creative spark on what to say. I'll say, write me a social media post about this thing. And usually it gives me like 15 different hashtags to add on to there. But so it does need a little bit of editing for that. But it is great when you don't have a creative spark at the moment and you need something quick. We've done like SEL lesson plans. We've done, let's see, I'm just looking at my list of chats here. How to write a syllabus. What are some things that middle school students should do to act responsibly? I really enjoy also the explain how this works to a 10-year-old or to whatever age group. And then, someone can say, explain how a subwoofer works, or explain what I would do to write this type of thing in Python or in HTML, or it's been very handy. But one of the dangerous things I see is that a lot of people are saying, oh, use this with your students, use it with your students. But in the terms of service for ChatGPT, it says you have to be 18. You have to give them a phone number when you sign up. So I would just send out a word of caution to people who are like embracing this and using it with students. If you are not getting parental permission or guardian permission to do this ahead of time, be careful.
All right. Thank you so much for that great reminder right there. So love that. Love that. And just wanted to open it back up to the panel for any final thoughts on this because we're getting very close to the top of the hour. So anyone have any final thoughts that they would like to share?
I just like to reiterate what everyone is saying. It's here. So ignoring it, acting like it's not a possibility that our kiddos aren't going to use it, whether or not they're 18, like how many 12-year-olds have a Pandora account? It's going to happen. But what do you do next? Be ready for that and be reflective. If you're worried about a student using an AI, like really think about your why. What is your bigger concern? And sometimes that's a difficult conversation we have to have with ourselves.
Totally. Totally. Fantastic. Okay, great. Anyone else? Okay.
I-
Oh,
I
go
think
ahead, Jen. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, so I have it is fairly new, this technology. And so I've done lots of reading about bias and how it's there. So we need to have courageous conversations with our students about bias. I also know, in addition to what Rachel said about the terms in terms of the age, it's likely going to be a paid service. And so what does that look like in terms of equity, right? For some of our kiddos too. So I'm excited about it, but I think like any tool, we need to be critical and thoughtful about how we're using it, why we're using it, and just the ways in which we can help prepare our students to use it productively and positively.
Totally. Totally. Okay. Bonnie?
Yeah, something that came up in a conversation, well, that I'm always talking about ChatGPT anyway, but something that came up in a conversation was to keep in mind that ChatGPT is not the internet. It is a tool that has been trained by humans, and those humans decided what it was taught. Right. So there is bias there. Like, that's not even a question. We don't even know who actually did the training, and we don't know where they got their information from and what they intentionally or unintentionally biased it toward or against. So please be careful when you're using it for research. I actually wouldn't recommend using it for research at all, but maybe for prompts and suggestions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I wanted to thank all of you for your time and your chiming in, your expertise, just all of the great conversation coming up. And thank you to everybody who's watching and for your interactions. This was a great combo and a great way back into our EduMatch community discussion. So we're going to do this again. Just keep an eye out. If you are not already signed up on our mailing list, and I promise to do better in 2023 with the newsletters. So next time we have one, then just look out for a newsletter that's going to be looking for participants. So date TBA, topic TBA, but wherever you're watching this, like, subscribe, join our community. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, we're everywhere. Instagram. We just got a TikTok yesterday. So, just find us on the different socials. So really want to thank y'all again. Check us out at edumatch.org. Our next launch that we're going to have is Dr. Eileen Winokur on the 21st of February. And also want to encourage y'all to check out EduSnap 22, which is available now. You can go to edumatchpublishing.com. I know Rachel has a chapter in there. She kicked it off. Do any of the rest of you on this one or in a previous EduSnap? I know we have previous EduSnap people. All right, great. And we also have previous Maker Book people as well. And we have EduMatch authors in the house. So everybody, we got something for everybody. So thank you again, everyone. Oh, and one last thing, we are firing up our EduMatch professional learning. It's been going on for a couple years now, but now it's starting to pick up some serious steam. So if you're looking for professional learning in your school or district or organization, then just contact us and we'd be more than happy to help. So again, thank you so much to everyone. Much love, and we will catch you next go round. And I'm just going through all the rest of the comments. Thank you, everybody. So we'll see you all soon.
It's Edge Match. Edge Match. It's Edge Match. You're at Edge Match. Edge Match. Don't miss Edge Match. Don't miss